This is going to be very powerful. So coming up next is Alicia Couri, the corporate agent senior faculty for visibility and confidence. As the Audacious confidence growth expert and current Mrs. Elite US Woman of Achievement 2020. She is the reigning Mrs. Elite. Alicia strives to influence, educate, and inspire and entertain to empower leaders to show up boldly in every situation. She shares her media savvy with entrepreneurs to help them get featured on TV. She is an empowerment speaker. She is Colby certified. She also is a Predictive Index certified consultant for talent optimization. She's an author. She's an actor. She's a podcast host with a background in beauty and style. Alicia works with executives and consults with mid-market SaaS companies and technology companies to align their business strategy with their talent strategy, leveraging the power of brain science and analytics to unlock 100% performance. She is indeed a true Renaissance woman, and I am going to leave you in her care for the next 20, 30 minutes or so. All right, Alicia, come on up. Let's give her a big round of applause. Yay! Oh my God, that dress is gorgeous.
I love the crown.
Know me or have seen me before are probably wondering, where is the red? Well, you know, when I speak, I'm usually wearing red, and I do have it on. It's under my dress. Yeah, it's the shoes, right? I don't know what else you were thinking, but it was hiding under my shoes because hiding has been a big part of my life. When I was 14 years old, I would climb on top of the water tank that was next to our storage room, and then climb on top of the roof so that I could hide from everybody. That was my secret hiding place. And as an adult, as I grew up, I found new secret hiding places, like don't ruffle any feathers, don't rock the boat, just manage everyone's expectations. Those became my hiding places. Just be ordinary, right? Anyone have that experience where you're just being ordinary? Well, you see, ordinary is not expansive. It's actually very contracting. And so me being ordinary didn't quite work for me because I always wanted to be extraordinary, but I couldn't sing, I couldn't, well, I could dance, but I mean, my kids get very embarrassed when I do. And I didn't play an instrument, so I didn't know how to be extraordinary. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Angelique said, I am the Audacious Confidence Growth Expert. And what that means is I am passionate about you, helping you, or empowering you to step boldly in the direction of your dreams into what's possible. That wasn't always the case. Like I said, I was hiding. So picture this, 1973. I am a bold, audacious, rambunctious little child. Two major things happened to me in that year. Number one, there was a war between my mother and my hair. My hair was undefeated. It was unruly, just like me. So to win that war, she shaved it off, leaving me with the nickname Bald Head. Yep, that's what they call me, Bald Head. So the second major thing that happened to me as a little girl was that we moved from the island of Trinidad, where I was born, all the way to the other side of the world, to Australia. No one had seen anyone like me before in their lives. I mean, I was like this little tornado. But as I started going to school, I began to believe that nothing about me was right. Not my hair, my nose, my lips, my complexion, my accent, that there was nothing about me that was beautiful. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't pretty enough. I definitely was not tall enough. In fact, they wrote a whole song about me that played on the radio. It was called Short People by Randy Newman. And even if they didn't write it specifically about me, my classmates made sure that I knew it was about me. You know, there's the line that says, short people got no reason to live. So I was hearing that all the time. So I really retreated into myself, and I was not bold or audacious anymore. In fact, I wanted to just disappear. I didn't want people to notice me. I didn't want to be seen, and that is where that was birthed for me. So my question to you is, what is your Australia? What was that moment for you in your life that led you to retreat instead of stepping in? I want us, in this few minutes that we have together, to really consciously and intentionally build that extraordinary into the most powerful, most audacious you. So who wants to do that? We're going to do a quick exercise. Yay! So first of all, Cary Grant said that I pretended to be who I wanted to be until I became him or he became me. And that's what happened to me. So I'm going to ask a question. Everyone knows that Clark Kent and Superman are the same person, right? So which one is the alter ego? You can either type in number 1 if you think it's Clark Kent, or number 2 if you think it's Superman. Or you can just raise your finger if it's 1 or 2. If you think Superman is the alter ego, 2, Clark Kent, 1. I'm seeing a lot of 1s. Clark Kent. Clark Kent is the alter ego of Superman. See, Clark Kent was created to be ordinary, to blend in, not to be noticed. But Superman was always super. And so a lot of us have built this other self. That's what Napoleon Hill calls it. Dr. Phil actually calls it the fictional self. And Todd Herman calls it the trapped self. So we've created this image of ourselves that is not super anymore. And I want to unleash that using an alter ego. And there are 3 reasons to build out an alter ego. Number 1, it protects your own fragile self from those imaginations that you've had of how people are going to experience you if you actually stepped out to become extraordinary. Number 2, it suspends your disbelief about yourself and all the things that you don't think you can do. And number 3, it unleashes and uncovers these amazing superpowers that you didn't even know existed inside of you. So that is the reason we build out an alter ego. And it's not for everyday use, unless you want it to be, but it's really an opportunity on the field of play to step into that role and be that amazing, extraordinary person when you need it. You know, it's that tool that you can use when you need it. For me, I'm going to talk a little bit later about my own alter ego experience, but I wanted to go into, if you go to page 100 in the book, in your booklet, we're going to start crafting what this alter ego could look like for you. And when you get there, I want to ask just this one question about your own superpowers. So if you could dream up any superpower in the world, and it doesn't have to be from Marvel or DC, just any superpower, what would your superpower be? What would that be for you? Let me see if I can see any. Oh, it's running off the page. Time travel, oh, I love that. Wonder Woman, to heal the sick, to read minds, duplicate yourself. Yeah, that's a great one. I need to duplicate myself. So what does that really feel like in your body? If you had that superpower, what does that feel like? Do you feel more powerful? Do you feel like you can take on the world? Because that's kind of what we want to experience. And then the second thing is, in your business, what is that superpower that you have that your clients think that, oh my gosh, you're swooping in and saving the day? You know, like Superman would swoop in and save the day and rescue Lois Lane. What is that superpower that you have? If you can think about what that is, because then you can amplify that when we go through this exercise. So on page 100, we have a look at the ordinary self, which is, again, it's uninspired and it's contracting. And then the extraordinary self is where we want to be. So that is limitless. So the first thing, we're going to go through your core, C-O-R-E-E. That's my core. And this is the foundation of building your alter ego superpowers. So your character. Let's look at who you are right now, where we live in this world. What is your mental and moral qualities? Your origin story, your superhero powers that are being suppressed, and your ordinary world values. Now, when you look at your ordinary world values, something like, maybe you grew up and you thought that you had to be polite. So being polite was one of those values, one of those things that you value. But when you step over into your extraordinary world, polite may not serve you. Polite might be something that's holding you back. You're sitting in a boardroom and you're talking to a senior leader and they're talking over you. Being polite might not be the right thing to be in that moment. So that's kind of what I mean by look at your character, look at what your mental and moral qualities are that you want to shine in those moments. Look at the origin story. You know, maybe you have an origin story for your alter ego that really brings out the best in you. What was that thing? Like, my origin story for my alter ego was the fact that I didn't think I was beautiful, that I didn't think I was worthy, that I had low self-confidence and all of that. And then I transformed into this, all of this, right? So, and then we're going to go into orientation. How are you oriented in this world? What is the negative self-talk that you've been playing over and over in your head? What are those positive affirmations now that you can shift that negative self-talk and talk about how worthy you are? Talk about how amazing you are. You know, let's move self-doubt into I can do anything attitude. Let's stop playing small and tackle the big things without hesitation. A lot of times we hesitate when we should step in. So when you're in your superpower, when you're in that alter ego, when you're in that extraordinary, you can step in when you feel like you want to close up. Again, we're not going to be suppressive. If you're suppressing yourself in your ordinary world, we want to step out and be audacious, right? Again, being in that ordinary world is uninspired. And you want to do things that are daring, that inspire you to take action, to be around those 5 people that really elevate you. And then the next slide, it says, let's look at your results. What are your current results in your business, in your life? Are you getting the results that you want in this ordinary world that you're living in? If not, let's create the desired results that we want when we step out and be extraordinary. Let's look at your experiences, and not just your experiences of what you've learned or what you've done, but also how are people experiencing you in your ordinary world. You know, I'm here at this conference and I'm doing hair and makeup for those of us who are going to be on stage, yes, me included, did my own hair and makeup. And that's my ordinary world. I don't have to be extraordinary in that. I know what I'm doing, I do what I do, that's it. When I have to step on stage, I flip that switch. It's a completely different experience that people have of me in this arena. So we want to create these moments for ourselves that we could step into when we have to show up in a big way. And the last thing is your expertise. What is your expertise in your ordinary world that you can pull from and bring it into that extraordinary world of yours? So that's your core. So you can work on building those things out for yourself. And before I close, I do want to tell you how my own alter ego came into being. You see, I did mention before that I didn't think anything about me was right, and, I had low self-confidence in myself, low self-esteem. I didn't think I was pretty. All of that nonsense that was going on in my head. And in the course of building my business, getting into this community, this velocity community, I realized that I wanted to be a speaker. I needed to get my message out, even though I didn't believe I had a message, yet I didn't believe that anything I had was valuable to share. But I felt it like deep within me that I needed to step on stage and be a speaker. So I looked at who stands on stage that really inspires me. And I looked at beauty queens, and I thought, oh my gosh, they're so beautiful, they're poised, they're graceful, they're intelligent, all the things that I knew I was not. And so I looked at how a beauty queen stood on stage, how they were unflappable, and of course, J-Lo, right? Why wouldn't you want to emulate J-Lo? And so I started building out my own alter ego to kind of emulate the things that I didn't believe about myself. And during the course of doing that, in 2017, I was asked to participate in a pageant. And I said, no. Why would I want to do that? I mean, number one, I'm too short. Number two, I'm too old. And number three, I don't have to prove anything to anybody, so I don't need to be in a beauty pageant. Even though I was walking around telling everybody I was a beauty queen, right? So I kept saying no. So for 2 years, the director of this pageant kept asking me, can you do this pageant? Can you do this pageant? You really need to do this pageant. I kept saying no. Finally, last year, she asked me again, like 3 times. And I said, all right, why am I resisting this? Why do I keep saying no? And why does this opportunity keep coming up every year for me? So I have these 7 steps to audacious confidence. So I went through the 7 steps myself, and I discovered that it was fear. I was really afraid of being judged, not just by my peers of why are you doing this, but also actually being judged. I had to sit in front of a panel of 12 judges. I didn't want to do that. I'm like, I don't have anything to prove to anybody that I'm awesome. So I just kept saying no. And finally, last year, August, I said yes. And I represented the state of Florida in this national pageant for Women of Achievement. And so I never thought it was possible for someone like me, who hated my picture being taken. I mean, anytime I saw a camera for 2/3 of my life, I would hide from cameras. You could not find a picture. I mean, I'll give $1 million to anybody who finds a picture of me from my teenage years up until my wedding, and then until I had children. I ran from cameras. But I never imagined it was possible for someone like me to win Miss Photogenic. I never imagined that it was possible for someone like me, who every time I thought about being a speaker, my heart would pound out of my chest, my mouth would get dry, my knees would shake, and everything that I think about would just leave my brain. I never thought it was possible that I could win a speech award. I never thought it was possible that someone like me, who didn't even believe that I had anything of value to share, would win a platform award for audacious confidence. And I never imagined that it was possible for someone like me to walk out on stage and win the crown of Mrs. United States Woman of Achievement 2020. The things that you don't believe are possible for you. Thank you. They're possible for you. You just have to step out and believe and really embrace your Firestarter superpowers. So who's with me? Are you ready to step into what's possible? Yay! See, I have the crown, I have the sash, I have everything to prove it. I did it. Yay! I see I have 3 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions? Standing ovation, yay. You're 5'10" and was self-conscious. Once I was told by an HR director to be sure to sit in the presence of my 5'4" CEO to keep me from being self-conscious. Everybody tries to hide your light. Yes, they sure do. Thank you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, so I saw earlier someone asked what number 2 was about building the alter ego. It suspends your disbelief about yourself. And number 3 is it helps uncover things that you didn't even know existed about yourself. But number 1 is it protects your ego until you can actually step into this without worrying. You know, Angelique talks about she doesn't worry about other people, what other people have to say, because she is in her mission and her purpose. And so when you're in your purpose and your mission, you don't worry about what other people have to say about you. And so that's when your alter ego can step in and do that for you, because you can always retreat and say, well, that wasn't me, that was my alter ego speaking. So, you know, you can always use that alter ego as a way to shield yourself until you can step boldly into that. Yeah, and you have to be bigger than your fear. That's right, Jill. Yay. 2 is you suspends your disbelief about yourself. Because a lot of times, see, I believed a whole lot of junk about myself. Anyway, you guys were awesome. Thank you so much. And I am so honored to be faculty here for Firestarter. And I hope I get to work with a lot of you in building out your platform for your next adventure. All right, thank you. I'm going to bring up. Yay!